What's up, guys? Welcome back to the NOS Performance Center. I'm Puckett here with PainUser. It's a StarCraft 2 day here in the Performance Center. We got Siphon, one of our local players, as well as Railgun and Kola. Kola, we're gonna call you NOS for the day, hope you don't mind. But what's in the playbook for us today, PainUser?
Today in the NOS Performance Playbook, we're gonna be going over a TvP build. It's actually a build popularized by MVP. It's a Korean Terran player. And I kind of took his build, put a few tweaks on it, and yeah, we'll see how it goes.
All right, it's the PainUser ladder build, thanks to MVP. Let's check it out.
It is indeed the PainUser MVP build, but I gotta give credit to MVP on that, man. He like revolutionized the matchup when he used this build for the first time. So Xel'Naga Caverns is a great map to do this, and it pretty much only works in Terran versus Protoss. You open up pretty much standard, and I am going to expand. It's not like a one base kind of thing, and that's why it's a pretty solid build, because it covers all your bases. You'll be safe to pretty much any build your opponent throws at you.
So straight off the bat, I see you building your barracks not next to your wall. Is there a reason for that? Are you going to put a bunker there in the future?
There is a reason for that. It's just in case I need to build a bunker there, and the barracks takes up so much surface area that it actually pushes your units out of like area you would want them to be in if somebody was attacking up your ramp. And later on in the game, if I don't end up building a bunker, I will certainly build a 3 depot wall just to prevent stuff from running up into your main. Alright, so I'm going to get a command center immediately after the factory, and then in my main. And go ahead and get that command center down, add my tech lab immediately, and then you get a depot as soon as that finishes.
Is there any particular opening from Protoss that you want to be weary of while you're executing this build?
The only thing that you can really lose to is like some kind of really hard all-in type build. And the tank siege expand is really nice for 4-gate defense. Actually, it works out really well because siege allows you to just play passive, and he's not really taking an economic lead on you. So you can just play passive and use your tanks against gateway units, which is like the best possible situation you can. Alright, so now is the tricky part. You kind of want to creep down and take your expansion, but you want to do it in a way that's safe. You just have to be really careful with your tanks. Then you get a starport. Alright, now it's probably safe to go ahead and take my expansion.
Would this build be safe if the Protoss goes for like, say, double forge and with a 2-2 timing push?
Yeah, absolutely. Any kind of gateway-oriented build that a Protoss would do, this build's going to fare really well against that. But the builds that you have to watch out for are like, if he sees what you're doing and he goes really quick, greedy Colossus or something like that, that can cause a lot of problems.
When MVP did it in the GSL, he mixed up Banshee.
Yeah.
Would you do the same?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what the starport's for, and the third gas. I stop after 3 gas, and then I continue to make gas units off my starport and my factory, so you're continually producing tanks, continually producing. I build a Raven first, and then I start getting Banshees. And then off your Raxes, you just continue pump rains pretty much the whole time. You go up to 5 Raxes and reactors on all of them except for 1. I just leave the last one naked.
I see right now that from the production buildings that you're building, you're aiming for a really strong mid-game timing push. How would you transition into the late game afterwards if that timing push failed?
That's actually that's a really good question, actually. A lot of the time you lose with this build, it's because the other player is like really smart. Well, I'm telling him this exactly while we're playing, but if the other player plays super passive and they keep delaying your push and they catch you up in the midfield and they slow down your push a lot, it can cause a lot of problems for you later on, because a lot of people don't know how to transition out of this, and they just continue making Marine Tank Banshee. So a really good way to transition out of it is to add a few more Raxes and then add Tech Labs on the naked one and the Raxes that you build, and then to try and transition into like a more bio style of play. I'm also going to rally all my buildings to one of these tanks. Just makes reinforcing a lot easier, and this is a super aggressive push, so it's not a bad idea to rally all your production facilities to the push. So I'm going to send one Marine ahead. Figure out where his army is. Looks like he's trying to go for that. So I kept my natural CC alive. I'm in a really good spot right now.
So right now, although the Protoss did delay your push, it seems like you have a huge army advantage at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I left these two Banshees here. They have 24 and 13 kills right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think that was a smart choice for Protoss to?
Yeah. I mean, once I got to that sweet spot right there at his natural and started putting up the bunkers, he was in a really, really, really tight spot. It's so hard to... What you have to do is engage the Terran as he's pushing across the map, like the whole way down. And then you just have to delay the push enough to the point where you can start getting Colossus out. And then Colossus are like the real... You wouldn't think it, but Colossus are actually like really good against siege tanks and stuff. Good game. The reason that build is super solid is because if he DT rushes you, you have the Raven. If he 4-gates you, you have siege tanks, and you can slowly take your natural. I don't know, did you 3-gate?
Yeah, 3-gate.
Yeah, okay.
And
so,
pressure at the same time.
Exactly, so that's like a super common build from Protoss players too. So if they 3-gate pressure while expanding, you can safely take your Expo, and they usually lose like a pretty considerable amount of units. Like I think I picked off like a Sentry and like a couple Stalkers, maybe a Zealot. So, yeah, just a super safe build in general, and yeah, you guys should try it out.
All right, so you guys are going to get a chance to try it out here for us, but PainUser, before we finish here, tell me what is different about your build from the build we saw MVP use?
A couple of the things that I've changed is I like to add stim immediately after I get combat shield. Which is a really nice way to transition out of it. Like assuming your opponent stops it, it's really nice to have stim and then to be able to fall back on bio. And then I didn't really get a chance, but if the game goes longer, I start adding a ton of Raxes, and I'll take a relatively quick third and then just try and macro out of the push if it fails.
All right, so Siphon, what do you think about that build?
It feels like it's unstoppable. I have no idea how to stop it.
You got any suggestions for our Protoss players out there?
Yep. For all you Protoss players out there that want to stop the MVP build, basically what you have to do is get really quick Colossus as soon as you scout it. So immediately drop your Robo Bay and start producing Colossus, and then go up to like 4 or 5 gates and just continue to produce a ton of gateway units. And then you want to keep your army just outside of the Terran's choke near his natural. And you want to engage him as soon as he starts to move out and force him to siege and unsiege his tanks as he moves across the map, and that buys you time to get like 4 extra warp gate cycles. So by the time he gets to your base, and then by the time that big critical fight goes down, you're gonna have like 40 more supply than you normally would if you let him push all the way across. And the key is not to let him get to the sweet spots, like where we both put the bunkers up at your natural. That's like the death choke right there. You just can't let him into that area. Like it's worth it almost just to sacrifice your entire army to prevent him from getting to that choke right there.
All right, so there you go. That's the counter to the build. PainUser, once again, thanks for all the tips, bud.
Thanks for having me.
Siphon, thanks for playing with us all day.
No problem.
If you guys want to check out more gaming from the NOS Performance Center, make sure to head on over to www.majorleaguegaming.com/NOS.